streaming service. Okay. Hello, YouTube. This is me, Claudia Mühlenweg. I'm the founder of the Natural Clear Vision Institute. And every Wednesday, I go live here to talk about things about vision improvement. So today, our topic is dry eyes, which is a really hot topic, pun intended, because it happens to a lot of us more in the summer or even it could also be in the winter when it's dry and we have heating on. But let's talk about dry eyes. And I want to say at the very beginning, this is not medical advice. I'm not a medical doctor. I am known as the holistic vision coach. I have helped hundreds of clients improve their dry eyes. And I also want to be very clear that it's different. And I explained this really quickly in the beginning. Dry eyes can have like mainly more like an evaporation issue and a drainage issue of the tear film. It could also be related to systemic problems. And I will quickly highlight some of these and what the reasons could be. And we are really focusing on the evaporation and the production of the tear film today, not any kind of systemic problems. So first of all, really important to say, if you're currently taking eye drops for dry eyes, then please don't stop them. It's absolutely crucial for the eyes not to be dry because you can get corneal scratches. It could be really dangerous. However, the FDA keeps recalling eye drops because they're not sterile. They have caused inflammation, even eye diseases, and even blindness in some extreme cases. Many eye drops have preservatives. There's new ones out there that don't have them, but I'm just saying they might be expensive. So the goal is really what I do with my clients, and even those that had LASIK and often have prescription eye drops, to get to the point where where the body and the eyes naturally produce tears, right? But we can't just stop the eye drops. And this has nothing to do with glaucoma eye drops. I also want to make that super clear. So we have to, if we do this, we have to slowly wean off and make sure the eyes are always lubricated. So systemic issues, just really quickly going through that. Inflammation, right? And we had a wonderful episode with Anu Sim last week. So check that out, Anu Sim on the microbiome and gut health. And that can contribute to dry eyes. If we have inflammation in the gut and the microbiome, that can contribute to systemic inflammation. Obviously, blepharitis and infection of the eyelids is also inflammation that will disrupt the tear film of the eyes. You could also, Sjogren's syndrome, like autoimmune conditions, rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, thyroid disorder. So some of these could be other root cause related things. And I feel like very important is if you have any of these things, work with a functional medicine doctor, a holistic eye doctor, because you don't want to just do those tear films. You want to really address the main reason why you're having these issues. It could also be certain medications you're taking. So it could be antihistamines, decongestants, it could be antidepressants, even some blood pressure medications can also decrease tear film production. So that's why these habits that I'm teaching you today are so important because they will counterbalance that. Hormonal changes, right? Many women, I'm in menopause. I don't have dry eyes, never had dry eyes, but also because I learned these habits early on. But if you're in perimenopause, menopause, that could be a reason that you're overall more dry in the body. Vitamin deficiencies could also be an issue. We will talk about some nutritional things today. Also, wearing contact lenses. So contact lenses could be actually causing faster evaporation. They also can contribute to meibomian gland dysfunction. So, and also basically depending on the lenses. So I've heard that a lot with people that have contact lenses. Other things that could happen is like eyelid problems, right? Maybe your eyelids don't close all the way, or your eyelids could be turning in a way. So those can also be affecting things. It could also be corneal nerve damages, computer use. A lot of people still say, oh, I'm staring at the screen. We will talk about today where we will never stare at anything ever. Staring is one of those bad habits that cause dry eyes. But screen use, studies have shown that we blink less when we look at screens compared to looking into somebody's eyes, right? Like somebody that stares at you really hardcore, it doesn't seem very friendly. It could also obviously be allergies. It could be environmental factors, wind, smoke, really dry. I live in California, so maybe if you live somewhere where there's a dry climate, like where I live, those can all contribute to dry eyes. And then sometimes watery eyes can also actually be a sign of dry eyes, but not always. Watery eyes can also be based on blocked tear ducts or other problems. So we're not talking about watery eyes today. So I have a few slides that are prepared just to show you a little bit of the anatomy, because if you're like me, you're a visual person, and it always helps to see like a little bit of an image of how this actually looks like. So let me share my screen. So this is an image of basically, I'm going to put this in play mode so you see it full screen. So this is basically a very abstract drawing, but the where it says cornea, right? That's like the outer layer, technically, the outer layer of our eyes, but that's when you would touch with, if you were to open your eyes and you touch your thumb, which you should not do, especially if it's not clean. But on the top of the cornea, there's three layers. The first one is the lipid layer, and that is the layer that lipid means fats. So there's fats in that layer. The next one is the aqueous layer, which is the same fluid that you have in the front of your eye. And then the mucin layer. So let's look at these different layers, especially the lipid layer and the aqueous layer. So when the tears are, oh yeah, before we get to this. So when you have dry eyes, there's basically spots where those layers are disrupted, right? There is like a lack, there's a spot of dryness. And so the tears are decreased and you get the spot of dryness, which again is not good for your eye health. And this is another little picture. See on the left, you see that it's like kind of a cutout of the cornea, the front of the eye. But let's look at the right picture. So the lacrimal gland, that's like right above your eyes where you might put some eyeshadow or highlighter. That is where the aqueous layer of the tear film is produced in the lacrimal gland. And through things like blinking, we will distribute that those kind of watery part of the tear film across the eyes. And then we have the puncta, which is like, you see that looks, this drawing is a little awkward, I have to be honest, but on the inner eye here is like the lacrimal sac, and then it goes and drains into the nose. And the puncta is these little, where the little looks like pliers, right? Where they kind of go to the upper and lower eyelid. So that's like how it kind of all comes in and drains. It's like a circle of new tears and then drainage systems. And I know in this illustration, it's probably supposed to be the eyelashes, but where I put my Bovian glands, those are not the eyelashes. I couldn't find an image that had them drawn in, but they're on the inner edge of your eyelid, right where the lashes are, but they're inside, right? That you don't see them on the outside. But the meibomian glands are where you produce that lipid layer, right? That fatty layer that's on the outer layer of the tear film. And then the mucus layer is produced by so-called goblet cells, and they're located in the eyelid, in the under eyelid, and the mucous membrane. So we're not focusing so much on those, but just so you understand a little bit of the anatomy, we really have to think it's not just watery tears, but that lipid layer is as important as that aqueous watery layer and the mucus layer. All right, so that's basically quick dive into the anatomy. So let's look at what we can do, like the habits I wanted to talk about. So I already mentioned a couple of times staring, right? Why do we get dry eyes? Because we stare. So not blinking for up like 10 seconds will actually already thin out the tear film and might produce some of those little dark, dry splotches where the tear film simply breaks, right? It kind of breaks as if you have water drying and eventually there's drops and there's breaks in between. So blinking is one of these simple things that I talk a lot about because blinking helps you lubricate that eye. It also cleans, it kind of has that whole system going. And the other thing, that was actually the very first thing I learned as a teenager when I worked on improving my vision, is yawning. And I thought, like, yawning, I got this book on like eye exercise. I'm like, why does it say yawning? Well, when we yawn, we stretch the often tight jaw muscle and we relax. And have you ever like really yawned? It lubricates the eyes. So yawning is one of those things that help you increase lubrication by simply relaxing and stretching all your tissues. So yawning and blinking, you can do them together. We often do this, oh, I shouldn't be yawning because it seems rude because it looks like we're tired. Yawning is actually a body's way to like get you into a more relaxed state. And yes, when you're tired, you will also be yawning, but it's a really good thing for your eyes. stretching that tight jaw muscle and yawning and blinking. So blinking, one way I teach it is like lots of quick blinks for 10 seconds, just teaching your body how to practice blinking, because once your body likes it, I cannot not blink anymore. I cannot film myself staring like I used to for a minute without blinking. The other thing that you could do is just kind of close your eyes a little bit. That's number 2 tip. So closing your eyes more. Sometimes we sit in boring meetings and maybe we can turn the video off. I used to do this in school as a kid. I had learning challenges because I was a very visual learner. So when my eyes were open, I got so distracted. But when somebody was just talking, like me now, I had to close my eyes to process the information. But that's also a really great way to improve the tear film and kind of make sure it's working well. And then you can add what we do in my method is called palming or cupping, where you close your eyes and you create a warm environment by rubbing your hands together. And you ideally want some support for your elbow. And then you cover your closed eyes with your cupped hands so that no light comes in. You relax and you stay here for a few deep breaths. I like to sometimes do it for 5 to 10 minutes, but even for a short amount of time. So you create heat, there's darkness, there's the warmth from the hands, the nerve endings from the hands. It's very relaxing, touching your own body in a way. It relaxes your whole nervous system. So this is a great way. And when you want to come out of it, you don't just rip your eyes open, you wait till your eyes get adjusted back to the light, and then you blink, 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 and doing a few squeezes. Remember, when we squeeze, we kind of activate. It's like when you have a sponge, right? You squeeze it a little bit. So we want to activate that whole system around the eyes to produce those tears. My third tip is that does take a little bit of extra time, just like palming. Hot or warm compress is not too hot, obviously. You can use an organic cotton cloth. You can put it in warm water, put it over your eyes so it's moist and warm. That's really the most important part. It's moist heat. You can also, some of them, they have like microwavable things, or you can even have some electric kind of, I bought an eye mask. It has jade stones on it. So it's like warm. I don't find it that comfortable. So, and I also don't have dry eyes, so I don't really use it that much. But those hot, warm conferences, there's something by Bruder. It's a medical company. They have an eye mask that might be helpful, but you want something warm on your eyes. So if you do a washcloth or an organic cotton cloth in water, obviously that doesn't stay warm very long, but still this is really, really helpful. And that is, what is that helping? The meibomian glands, right? Think of that oil, like when we have like, I don't know, coconut oil and it gets too cold, it gets more solid. So we want to kind of liquefy that with warmth. So that helps with the lipid layer, that kind of fatty layer produced by the meibomian glands. Another thing that's great for dry eyes, I find that that's not what most eye doctors will tell you, but sunlight exposure is really great. And don't like do it in the middle of the day if it's really, really hot. But close your eyes. We do it with eyes closed. It's really great to do, again, not around noon, morning, evening, but the warmth of the sunlight. And you can also use some warm lamps. There's some heat lamps that you can use inside. They don't have the same quality as the sunlight, all the different light wavelength, like the infrared that's in the sunlight. But you can use lamps that are warm that also produce that heat. So sunning, we call it sunning. You turn your head side to side. That relaxes all the muscles, any stiffness in the neck, and you can do your yawning at the same time. I'm not going to do it right now. So sunlight exposure is really helpful, obviously with eyes closed. My fifth tip, which I've been doing for a few years now, I put a generous amount of castor oil around the eyes, on the lashes. I don't put it in the eyes ever. If you do that, it has to be sterile. I don't put anything into my eyes ever. It's just me. And so I put it around my eyes, and then I use an organic cotton eye mask. So put it on at night. First of all, it blocks all the light. Darkness is really important for sleep. And also I have a fan running in there now that it's so hot in the summer. So again, the fan will, or if your eyelids don't close all the way, that will also help evaporate the thin tear film. And we don't want that. So an eye mask with castor oil that really kind of seals in it feels really relaxing and really nice. And that's a way for my eyes at night. My eyes are closed, I'm assuming. I never had an exam. But some people that got the eyelids, like they got like some surgery. So sometimes maybe your eyelids don't close. In that case, you really want an eye mask that has a little ledge on the edges so that at night, so that you really don't get any air in. So basically, you want it to make sure it's really it stays warm and closed and moist in there. Um, Obviously, if you're in a hot climate, a dry climate like me, a humidifier is really, really helpful. Making the air a little bit more humid, not to the point if you live in Florida or somewhere in the south where it's really humid, you probably don't need that. But if it's dry, having a humidifier will also help you when if you have dry eyes. My seventh tip is structured water. So we had a whole episode on structured water. We will link that here in the show notes. But structured water is a way to deeply hydrate your whole body, obviously, but also your eyes. Your eyes are, I think, 70% water. So we really want to lubricate the eyes from the inside out by drinking enough. So hydration is important. I actually use structured hydrogen water. So it's even better. Hydrogen water is really, really helpful too for deep hydration. So drink enough water and make sure that it's filtered if you use tap water. So much bad water out there that has all kinds of stuff in it. So we want to be very vigilant. Don't drink it out of plastic bottles. I love glass bottles. You can use blue glass bottles, put them in the sun. I have a little device that I use to make structured water, but you can also swirl with a spoon around it so to create structured water. Any way you can have really good quality water. And maybe electrolytes can also help you if you have a insufficiency. And then obviously acupressure and massage, right? The lacrimal gland is right here. So getting those points, we have points here, here, here. I don't even worry so much about the exact points, but massaging around the eyes, either with your fingers or just like this, or pressing in there. And in here also all around the eyes can be really helpful. I have a little eye mask that I love from Queen of the Thrones. That's a castor oil company I love. They have little metal studs for the acupressure points here on top. But you can also massage all around the eyes and even really gently here under the eyes where the meibomian glands are. You can kind of almost like stroke a little bit or even massage on the eyelid, but very, very, very gently. Here you can go a little bit harder on the eyebrows, but on the eyelid, be really, really gentle with some massage. Number 9, omega-3 fatty acids. Remember the lipid layer on the film. So we need to have proper fat in our diets. And the omega-3 fatty acids are usually the ones that are very anti-inflammatory, and we have not enough of them, most of us. So you have to really make a conscious effort. If you eat fish, you can eat salmon, but be aware of toxins. Flax seeds, hemp seeds, chia seeds, walnuts are all really great sources of omega-3 fatty acids. And then tip number 10, cry more. So sometimes I find that dry eyes could also be related to emotional things going on where you suppressed grief or tears and you kind of pulled it together, so to speak. If you live in Los Angeles, we had the wildfires in January. It's been really, really, really hard. And I cried a lot of tears. So sometimes, especially boys or men, we're told like, oh, don't cry. So maybe you have trouble crying. You can watch a really sad movie. You can use onions to instill some tears in your eyes. But crying is really practice crying is a really helpful thing. And if you're not sad, obviously that might be harder. Actors can do it on command, I guess. But crying more is really helpful too. And again, you can use an onion, but really let go, allow yourself to cry. And it could be crying from laughter too. So you don't have to be sad. And then lastly, when it comes to winds, if you like bike riding or anything, wearing these kind of bicycle goggles that protect your eyes from the wind coming into your eyes, so drying out, evaporating the tear film. So that's really important to wear some kind of protection when you do any kind of things if you're running really fast or you're riding a bike or a motorcycle. Obviously with a motorcycle you have a helmet, but you want to protect your eyes from extreme wind. So that's my 11th bonus tips, which is something that doesn't apply to all of us, but to many of us that do ride a bike. So that's basically my 10 tips, really quick: blinking and yawning, closing your eyes more or palming your eyes, hot, warm compresses, Especially in the evening, it's really relaxing to do that. Getting some sunlight with closed eyes, that will help you. The warmth will again help the meibomian glands, just like the hot compresses. It feels really relaxing, and the sunlight can often actually produce a little bit of tears. Castor oil mask at night. So I put castor oil around my eyes, put a mask on while I'm asleep to make it completely black and to make sure nothing evaporates while I'm sleeping. A humidifier is number 6. Structured water is number 7. Acupressure and massage around the eyes, even on the whole face. Like if we have a lot of tension, nothing is flowing properly. So we need to make sure neck could be really helpful for the lymph drainage, which is not exactly the tears, but really improving circulation all over the body. Omega-3 fatty acids is number 3. So getting these healthy omega-3s into your diet. And then crying, and the crying from laughter, from sadness, whatever it is. Sometimes watching a really good show and really laughing. Like, I don't know about you guys, but as kids, we used to laugh so much. And it just really helps to get some lubrication into the eyes, or cutting an onion. Whatever works, but cry more, get some more tears into your eyes. All right, that's it for today's episode. Let me see if there's any questions. Oh, yeah, lots of people. Let me look. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm glad that you're all here. Yeah, air conditioning, Lorna, that could also definitely be an issue. In that case, if you can, I hate nothing more than sitting under one of those vents. If it's at your house, you probably have a little bit more control over that. I have a fan running right now because it's pretty hot here. Anything you can do, close your eyes more, like I said. Sometimes we just listen to someone. We don't always have to have our eyes open. I sometimes like audiobooks. Usually do that while I'm walking. In that case, I don't really close my eyes. But blinking is like the number one thing I would say that helped all my clients, even after LASIK. Blinking more, palming, closing the eyes, those things will already help a lot with that evaporation-related dry eyes. If you have any tear duct blockages, work with a holistic eye doctor to really make sure that the whole system is actually working. And if it's hormone changes or any of those things, work with a functional medicine doctor to help you address, like find out why is the eye dry. That's really important versus just plopping eye drops in there, which again, don't stop them if you have really dry eyes. And if you wear contacts and have dry eyes, consider not wearing contacts and just using glasses instead and improving your vision, which is something I can help you with so that you don't need those anymore. Contacts are definitely not ideal for dry eyes. They can often cause dry eyes. So that's it for today. I don't see any more questions. Blue blocking glasses at night. Yeah, Jason, that could definitely be helpful. I don't use blue blocking glasses except for if I'm inside and I don't have natural light, or I do it in the evening when I'm watching TV. Yes, I do watch TV too, not actual TV, but Netflix. And I wear some orange glasses in the evening. So basically, I also encourage everybody to test things out, like what works best for you. I always get this question, how long should I do palming? I'm like, it depends. If you test out how long does it take to lubricate your eyes, do the blinking, do the squeezing of your eyes, do a little bit of massage of the lacrimal gland, and maybe like gentle stroking here on the bottom and the eyelid for the meibomian gland. So maybe do a little bit of that massage and blink, blink, blink. We really want to blink every 1 to 2 seconds to really keep the tear film in optimal shape. So those are all things that we can train, just like breathing and other things that we automatically do. We can also make them better by teaching our body to blink more and maybe put stickers on the computer. I used to do that a lot in the beginning because studies have shown that we do blink less when we look at screens. So blink, blink, blink. Put stickers, whatever helps you to do it more and remind yourself of doing that. All right, so that's it. Thank you. I don't have any particular goggles, Dagmar. It's like those they sell them for riding a bicycle. It's usually the clear plastic ones. You just want to make sure that your tear film doesn't evaporate because you got that wind blowing in your face. But I'm not affiliated with any glasses companies really. So, but if you have prescription glasses and you need them for, then maybe there's a way to just use your prescription glasses or get those that are a little more wraparound for that kind of purpose. Because again, you want to protect the tear film, and that's what I'm recommending. So. Yeah, eye mask at night. I don't know how people sleep without an eye mask. And my room is not really dark without an eye mask anyway. But having the ones that have a little ledge on the edge of the eye mask really helps you not to get any what do you call it, air in there. Also, I found really great. They're microwavable. It's an eye mask that I got as a gift. I actually have never used it. I have to be honest, but it's filled with lavender. It's like one of those things that you can put even for the rest of your body, but it's lavender. It's really relaxing. So putting something warm on your eyes might not feel like the greatest thing in summer. If you have blepharitis, get blepharitis under control. We help many people with blepharitis. Any inflammation in the body, make sure you address the inflammation because otherwise it's like just like a band-aid. So, all right, you guys, thank you for being here. And my Clear Vision Club peeps and I, we will have our little private discussion now. Sorry, I clicked the wrong button. See you guys soon on YouTube. Next week we talk again about dry eyes. It's like the topic of the month. It's a really important topic. I think more women have dry eyes, and maybe that's due to the hormonal changes. But dry eyes is really not, it's really important that you don't have dry eyes, so that you do whatever you can. So my 10 daily habits, a lot of them you can just do blinking. You don't have to take any extra time. Some of these things, palming or putting a warm eye mask on your eyes obviously requires some kind of time. You can't do that while you're riding a bike. But a lot of these things, you can combine them with your evening ritual or before you go to bed. You can put a warm eye mask on your eyes and then drift off to sleep. All right, you guys, see you